The global economy is four engines: US, Europe, Japan, China/emerging markets. Of these four engines, the only one who's really humming along fine is probably US/United Kingdom, Canada. Eurozone is stalling. They're one step away from deflation and other recession. China is slowing down. Other emerging markets are slowing down. So I think one of the open questions is, will the US be able to decouple from the rest of the world in a world in which actually other countries are slowing down, the dollar is becoming stronger, and so on? So far, it looks like yes. But if the shocks from the rest of the world will become worse, then we have to ask the question whether that's going to have an impact on the United States.
The U.S. is absolutely becoming much more unilateral. And 2015, I think, is the first year where we really are starting to see the United States employ really so much more of the 21st century tools of national security to get what America wants. It's not boots on the ground. That sounds almost quaint, and everybody opposes it these days. It's drones, it's surveillance, and access to U.S. markets as both a carrot and a stick, what I call the weaponization of finance. The United States is saying a lot more, hey, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, we know you have serious problems, but those problems are going to be resolved first and foremost by you on the ground, not by the United States.
I want to ask you about your thoughts on the Middle East and sectarian conflict, and where are we in this curve? I mean, are we at the apex of ISIS? Are things going to get better? Are they going to get worse?
I think we are at the apex of the Islamic State and its capacities in Iraq and even Syria. I think the amount of international effort militarily being deployed against them, supported by military on the ground from the Syrian government, Syrian army, as well as from the Kurds and from the Iraqi government, absolutely is turning the tide. Won't wipe them out. Taking them out of Mosul, I don't see happening for maybe years. But generally speaking, I don't think that they're not going to have something that really looks like an effective state anytime soon. Downside in Russia might be the biggest surprise. U.S. policy towards Russia is really oriented towards not punishing the Russian people, but punishing Putin. It's going after the oligarchs that are around him. It's trying to change his behavior by undermining his support. He understands that. He calls it regime change. He will hit back. The United States historically has not had to pay attention to people that we didn't like, because if we punished them, they didn't like it, they couldn't do much to damage us. That's changing. And I absolutely worry about a major Russian cyber attack against, let's say, an American financial institution. I absolutely worry about an accident or a European commercial airliner over European airspace, and a Russian military jet. Those kinds of things, I think, in 2015 are becoming a very live concern.
Xi Jinping, leader of China, is consolidating power, and there's a couple of storylines about what this means. One is that he's the new Deng, and this is all part of this sort of greater strategy to take China through the next wave of reforms that it needs to make the jump to a middle-income country. The other storyline is that he's Mao. And it's interesting that, there is Maoist rhetoric emerging in China right now. Which is he, and what does it mean for the Chinese economy, Nouriel?
Well, my view is a combination of both. I think on China, there are these two extreme views. Either there's going to be a soft landing, 7% plus growth, or 3% growth and hard landing. I think it's going to be something in between, because he's going to have to do reforms, but because of the political constraints, the reforms are going to be more slowly than is desirable and optimal, and eventually there'll be a slowdown of growth in China. Consequences of now the second largest, or maybe the first largest economy in the world, slowing down to 5.5% is going to be significant for China, for Asia, for commodity exporters, for the global economy.